Hey, it's the voice of San Diego, Friday 5, live at 5. We go through 5 things. I'm Scott Lewis, voice of San Diego's CEO and editor-in-chief. What a week. Good week. My wife just brought home a big thing of candy canes, and on the package, it says red and green stripes, which it's open package, so if you can see red and green, like you could see that it's red and green stripes, right? But for a guy like me who's red-green colorblind, like that helps. Like, oh, it's red and green. But also, why do I need to know? What do I care if it's red and green? It's ridiculous. What is that label for? Red and green stripes. Absurd. We have got breaking news. We've got breaking news. This was quite a local politics week. We got a new mayor. We got a new city council president. Jen Campbell. I'm going to move this up to number 1. Jen Campbell, right here. This is the tallest she's ever going to look. This is Jen Campbell. She is the doctor from my area, Ocean Beach. She is the representative for this area, Ocean Beach, Point Loma. She gets a lot of things done. She's got she passed that Measure E, exempting the height limit or exempting the Midway area from the height limit along the coast. She's been involved. She tried to strike and is in the middle of a compromise effort on vacation rentals. She's not tackling minor things. She is now the council president Jen Campbell. But it came after an incredible public campaign and process like I've never seen. It was we've elected the city council presidents every year since 2006. It's always been a backroom sort of deal. I mean, that's how it works. There hasn't been any backroom, any sort of indication of what's happening. You have to do a lot of reporting, and it's often not really that revealing when you go and you try to figure out what people are lining up behind who and why and what's going on and how it's going to play out in the actual process. And this time, Monica Montgomery Stepp from Southeastern San Diego, District 4, mounted a campaign and made it clear she wanted it and forced so many organizations to both articulate what they wanted in the role and identify who they wanted in it, and no longer do it in the past. And it was hard for them. A lot of them had trouble sort of opening this process up, announcing who they supported, all those kinds of things, and it started happening. It was fascinating to watch. It was completely mesmerizing. So we watched this process that's been the same for so long, and it's getting disrupted, and it's really interesting. And it climaxed yesterday in a 9-hour meeting at the city council. These are usually like an hour, some minor things. It's all resolved. Again, it's baked. It comes to the table baked, and not like illegally or whatever. It's just that it's resolved in conversations between the staffs, the activists, the interest groups and lobbyists, and then the mayors and the city council and all these people. They just talk and they work it out before the actual day, and it's kind of taken care of. And then there's a almost ceremonial vote where it's usually lopsided. Not this time. 9 hours, almost entirely devoted to encomiums and passionate pleas of support for Monica Montgomery Stepp for that role. And I like to watch some of these council meetings. I covered city council when I first moved here, so some of these more like historic ones, I like to really follow because that's my gig. That's what I like. And so here was a really interesting. So I watched almost all the commentary, listened to it when I walked the dogs, and it was incredible. I mean, just one person after another. Now, a few of them got out of hand and really were insulting and offensive to Jen Campbell. But by and large, like 95% of them were just these like passionate, eloquent, 1-minute speeches about Monica Montgomery Steppe and why they want her in that role, what that means to them. It was incredible. But it was really uncomfortable to watch that for 9 hours and know that it would have no impact. Nothing. I mean, it was done. It was indicated that it was done before that when Jen Campbell nominated Chris Cate to run the meeting, which served itself as a proxy vote of how the meeting was going to turn out, because 5 people supported her nomination of Chris Cate for that role. And, that was them indicating, like, we support what she wants to do. 4 people supported what Monica Montgomery wanted to do. And so after that, I mean, most of us already knew that there was something in place, but then that just confirms it, that it's all set. And then 9 hours of people passionately pleading for something else to happen and just knowing it wouldn't. It was weird. And I don't know how long that can continue at San Diego City Hall, because this is the second time it's happened on these issues. My friend Andrew Donahue, you can look at us, listen to us on the podcast we put out each week. He made this point, or I'm sorry, Andy Keats. Oh shit, he's gonna kill me. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Don't tell him, Meg. He wouldn't watch this anyway. Oh my God. Anyway, Andrew Keats, made a great point on the podcast, said this is the second time we have seen hours and hours of testimony, a lot of it about race and equity and justice, and very passionate people who had no impact on the discussion. Now, that one had like serious legal and financial consequences. It would be very difficult for them to get what they wanted. This one was just a vote of who should lead the city council, not a small thing, but it was a much more flexible thing. So how many of these meetings can we have? How many times can we watch a lot of people get up there, pour their hearts out, and know that it's done? I mean, I don't know what structural reforms you can make to spare them that hassle. Like maybe you could do like a tentative vote, and if it's like unanimous, then they know that they're not going to have any impact. But boy, this is a bad thing to continue. My dog agrees. Anyway, the outpouring of support for Monica Montgomery Steppe was fascinating. It was a popular movement. Now, what that actually encompasses, how big that is, I don't know. The whole thing was weird. I watched a big part of it, and for a while you could see some of these city council members with their, like static pictures or just like they're not there. That was weird too. Like all these people are pouring their hearts out. You don't even know if they're there watching. I would assume they were. I would assume they had it on. But that's part of the point of public testimony, is to be able to see the people you're talking to talk to them. If you can't recreate that, you can't have public meetings. It was very uncomfortable yesterday. I don't have a particular preference of who gets to be council president, but that was a weird thing to watch yesterday. It was just uncomfortable to know that was going to be that way. Now, Jen Campbell, Council President Jen Campbell. Congratulations on the win. You played some politics and you got it. But you have been handed an intense leadership challenge, an elite leadership challenge. You're like, this is like expert level leadership. You got to be like really good at communicating. You're going to have to work really hard to like organize priorities and make people happy. You're going to have to like this divide, you're going to have to like address well. It's no small challenge. Rocky agrees. Listen, Rocky agrees. This is going to be a big challenge. Can she do it? I see you guys have some comments. Oh, I forgot the news. Just now, KUSI reported that Barbara Bree, who lost the mayor's race, is going to try to lead the movement to recall Jen Campbell, to recall her. There's a few signs in OB Point Loma with recall Jen Campbell. But Barbara Bree has announced she's going to try to actually lead it. Now, it is far from unprecedented to have successful recall campaigns of city council members. There's a lot of history of that in San Diego. There's a lot of that. So is this getting real? They're mad at her about the vacation rentals. I think the quote from Barbara Bree was, Bree says Jen Campbell's controlled by special interests. Ooh. Barbara Bree is not going out quiet. She's ready to rumble. That's the news today. So, boy, this is Democrats are almost completely in control of City Hall, and there's no less conflict, that's for sure. Let's pull up some comments. Ask her, did Todd Gloria silence endorse? I think what you mean is, yeah, Todd Gloria, if he wanted Monica Montgomery Steppe to be council president, she'd be council president. I mean, there's no, yeah. She already had so much support from like Labor and the Democratic Party. You got the mayor, yeah, of course. So he did make an effective decision there. District 2 needs 15K to recall Jen Campbell, just getting started. Whew. Police units. Okay, look, I think the police unions were, the Police Officers Association, I think clearly didn't want Monica Montgomery to be council president. Remember, and there's two city attorneys. The city attorney has a criminal justice role. Marnie von Wilpert called herself a prosecutor. So the Police Officers Association, I think, did have some influence. I think that there was softer parts of the support from Labor for Monica Montgomery, or quiet, more neutral, non-involvement, which itself is involvement in a way. Yeah, I think a lot of that combined, but I don't think it's because anybody gets paid from the police. Like, unions have a soft power as well in politics, not just the hard currency. The people should vote for the council president, not the council members. Well, here's something you might not remember. The people should vote for the council president, not the council members. The mayor used to be the council president. So you could go back to that. If you wanted, you could change the city charter to make it so that the public elects the mayor, and the mayor's in charge of the city council. Rocky, we don't need your ball. Oh, you got dinosaur. We could go back to the city manager form of government, where the city manager's in charge of all the staff at City Hall, and then the city council picks that city manager. And so the mayor is elected, and the mayor is the council president. When the mayor was switched out of the council presidency role, in 2006, the mayor became the chief executive officer of the city staff. And so the mayor is separate from the council now. It wasn't that way. If you want the people to vote for the council president, then that's the way. All right. Hundreds of people gave the 1-minute plea for Monica Montgomery president to see the front page announcing Campbell had won was unbelievable. Yeah, I think it surprised a lot of people. Because, again, they didn't know it was set. Rocky should be the council president if he knows it. Better for Todd Gloria to have a weak council president than a strong principled one. So yeah, it is an incredible time in city government. I've never seen anything like this, and it's good. It seems disruptive. I think Monica Montgomery Stepp did a really interesting service for public transparency and what we understand about how this all works. You know, again, one of the few things I can't remember, so I can't say 100%, but I have never. Rocky, what are you doing? Do you see the wall moving? Rocky, that wall won't fall on you. Sorry. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. The council. Let's see. The council president, the mayor. What's I saying, Meg? Help me out. It's a good one. Oh yeah. So Monica Montgomery did an incredible service. Yeah. We know better both what you can do and how it worked in the past, based on what happened here. It was a fascinating service. And so now, what could happen? You know, there's been some really interesting leaders in San Diego's past, especially since the strong mayor form of government came in, who have like pushed the limits of the rules, because the rules are still kind of new. Bob Faulkner came in and in like 6 months, like showed the entire world what you could do as mayor. You know, they would hand him a document and they'd say, that you're supposed to sign this. And he'd say like, why do I have to sign it if I'm supposed to? Like, my signature doesn't mean anything? And that's the kind of testing of the boundaries that were in existence that, you know, he did. Now, he was a mess. It fell apart. Same with City Attorney Mike Aguirre. He tested the limits of his power, of what could happen, and it completely changed the whole dynamic. He's going to knock this wall over. It changed the entire dynamic. And she has done that. Monica Montgomery Stepp has changed the entire dynamic of how we understand how this role is chosen and maybe what could be done with it. And so now Jen Campbell has to be, the council president has to lead this group and the city in the way that they envisioned the council president could, the way that Todd Gloria did back in 2014, or the way that a lot of them have tried to. And can she do it? Big test. I don't know. Big test. All right, any other questions? How can we undo the strong mayor form of government? You got to raise 15% of the signatures from of the registered voters from the last election. So a lot of people. You have to get, what would that be, like 250,000 signatures at $4 a signature. You need somebody to give you $1 million. $1 million would do it. Well, they'd force the vote. There is a conversation going on among some of the elite, by the way. So yeah, Jen Campbell, going to be a really, really interesting next couple of weeks. Now, here's a question. Jennifer Campbell can appoint Monica Montgomery Stepp to the city's budget committee. Yeah, but she also got that vote of Chris Cate. And I'll be very interested to see what Chris Cate, his role will be in this next discussion. I'm not saying they made any deal or anything, but he is part of the coalition for her, and she will remember that. All right, number 2. Let's do it. Number 2. Gotta get her to get that dog. Outdoor dining. So last week, we all saw the news from the governor. You can't, we're going to go into this situation, this new stay-at-home order, and how are we going to be able to, how could we avoid it? What could we do? And there was the whole discussion about outdoor dining. So in our region, basically they said you have adapted your entire dining system to be outdoors with all the heaters that were sold out in the Home Depots. You redid everything, but now you can't do that anymore. And so a lot of people asked me to try to explain the rules to them, and I found myself just completely befuddled every time trying to like go through this thing and explain all the rationale. And then on the radio on Tuesday and Monday, sports radio guys were like, "Why did they close outdoor dining?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I pieced together a rationale that I thought was like, I don't think there's any data that says that it's really spread there. They're basically saying you need to stay, you just don't go out. Like, and then Ben Higgins at 97.3 The Fan, he said, well, so you're saying it's like pot, how it's like a gateway drug and people think it's going to lead to like worse drugs. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like outdoor dining leads to the hard dining, and then that leads to the COVID. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I suspected. And then finally, that same day, Dr. Mark Alley, the head of Health and Human Services for the state of California, was asked this question at his press briefing on Tuesday.
So the decision to include, among other sectors, outdoor dining and limiting that, turning to restaurants to deliver and provide takeout options instead, really has to do with the goal of trying to keep people at home, not a comment on the relative safety of outdoor dining.
So why didn't they just say that? That's what they should have just said. It makes sense. Look, this whole thing is voluntary. This whole thing is voluntary. They're gonna enforce it on like 2 or 3 high-profile things, if that. And I'm gonna have to text my wife to get this done. He's obsessed with balls, and so he rolls them under things, and then he digs them. It's like, dude, stop with the ball. We play ball all the time. That's all I do now is work and ball and kids. It's crazy. So yeah, just say don't go out, because this is all voluntary. We have to convince people that they shouldn't do this. If you want to get people to not do something, you have to convince them to. And they're not going to convince it if they don't understand it. And it was way too complex. And so when this guy comes out and admits, no, we just don't want you to go out. That's it. Now, like, if you need to take care of yourself, recreate. We're not going to cut you off from taking care of your body and getting stuff that you need. So go get stuff that you need, take care of your body. Don't go out. That's what they're saying. That's all he had to say. It would have been a lot easier to explain to my mother and my wife, everybody, and just try to help people understand this on the radio. These guys like, well, I don't understand. Well, just say what it is and why you're doing it, and that might inspire people to comply a little bit better. All right, number 3. Allison, are you asking how fat my dog is? He's still a puppy. He's only like 9 months. He's very skinny. I don't think he's going to be a large dog, a stout dog. I think he's going to be a skinny dog. I posted on my Twitter fleet, the fleet, a couple pictures of Rocky if you're interested. I'll try to grab some more. All right, number 3, Chris Ward. Speaking of outdoor dining, former councilman Chris Ward, who just got sworn in this week as an assembly member in Sacramento. He and Tasha Burner Horvath, who is also an assembly member, this is her second term, and they, along with several other legislators, on Monday night after they got inaugurated, went out to eat outside, a dinner outside. Now, Sacramento County allows that, but the guidance the state has always had is that you shouldn't have more than 3 households together outdoors, anywhere. And so, kind of irritated me and a few other people. Like, don't do that. It's like the opposite of explaining and inspiring people to go out was to like do that. I had the chance to talk to him today a little bit, and he did send over a statement. I think he took it hard, like he took the criticism hard, I think, and it was a rough week in a way. He put out this statement: being sworn into the California State Assembly was an honor and a day that will always hold meaning for me. However, during all the excitement, I made an error in judgment, and I apologize. A higher standard is expected of elected leaders, and though I acted only on an opportunity to get acquainted with new colleagues, it was not appropriate for me to break bread with others outside my household, even though we'd all tested negative and believed we were in line with Sacramento County's health order. Breaks my heart. I mean, this is like the guy that gets caught smoking, and he's never smoked before, and he coughed, but the teacher gets him, takes him to his mom, and he's like really upset, worried that she's going to really hurt him, be mad. And really, it's not that big a deal. I made it a big deal because I'm so frustrated with this world, this pandemic. So we all go up and down. But I think he was sincere about, he's been talking to people, he said in his statement, all week, apologizing and helping them getting a better understanding of what they're dealing with. Some restaurant owners, doctors, nurses. Good. Maybe it'll turn out to be a good moment for him. All right. Number 4. Mayor Faulkner. He's out. He's former Mayor Faulkner. We had a great series of pieces I recommend you check out on The Voice of San Diego about Faulkner, about his experience here. He's running maybe for governor. We've got a whole archive of stories now sort of summing up a lot of his efforts on housing, some of his struggles with the city's real estate assets, and how he dealt with the homeless issue. So I would check them out. I think there's a couple of things that stand out. Andy Keats did a story about his efforts to deregulate and to try to make sure that it was easier to build housing. It's really expensive to live in San Diego. I'm not sure if you've heard. And how'd he do? Well, among comparable cities, not so well. You know, some of these cities have a lot more open land. It's still a lot easier to kind of get into. That's what the first thing they'd point out. But, you know, we're supposed to be trying to catch up. Seattle doesn't have a lot of open land. So that was one of those. There was also this graph he did about permits per 1,000 residents. Not the greatest of colorblind friendly situations here, but you can track San Diego there. I think it's actually pretty good color. There's only one that's a problem: the San Diego versus Denver. I think that's okay. And then there was the housing production in San Diego County itself, and how that's turned out. So you can see the difference. So check that out on the site. The housing story. Adriana Heldes did some great illustrations for it. We also did a piece sort of reviewing all his real estate issues he's had to deal with as the city's assets are either bought or sold. And then there was the homeless and other issues. So check that out on our site, voicesandiego.org. And we get into that. All right, she's posted the links. There we go. All right, and number 5. All right, this one, oops, I gotta pull that down. This is about Faulkner as well. He's had a reputation for a long time of not saying things. Like, he doesn't like to he's a remarkable, he has a remarkable ability of not saying anything radical when talking about very sensitive issues. Like you don't realize that he's managed to slalom his way out of some really interesting situations. I think even his team would admit just how it's a talent. And so, but this week he did say something interesting. He said that he voted for Donald Trump. He told George Skelton at the LA Times that he voted for Donald Trump. Now, he had said he would never vote, could never support Donald Trump, and then that was before a lot of the weirder things that Donald Trump did happen. But as George Skelton recognized, 6 million people in California did vote for Donald Trump. Not going to look good for that picture of him standing behind Donald Trump's desk with him and then say, I voted for him. If people still have lingering frustrations about Donald Trump, which I imagine they'll linger for a little longer in California. So that could be a tough one. But as George Skelton pointed out, 6 million people did vote for Donald Trump in California. And if he's going to get through a primary, he's going to need them to vote for him. If he's going to get anything, he's going to need millions of people to support him. It's a tough race to build. And so I guess he may have felt that was something he wanted to reveal and talk about. So interesting moment. Hats off to the mayor and good luck. We'll see what happens. And looking forward to talking about, explaining, and interviewing and asking tough questions, holding accountable this new crop of city council members and the new council president and the new mayor and the now veteran city attorney. So let's have fun. Send me any questions you want us to keep on top of with this crew, and or anything you want, any help understanding, go to voicesandiego.org. And we could, of course, have our politics report that comes out. Oh, yes. And this is the last 2 weeks now, beginning of our fundraising campaign for the end of the year. Go to voiceofsandiego.org/donate. All of Andy's work, all Lisa's work on homelessness, all of Maya's work on the border and some other vulnerable communities, all Kayla's work on the North County and other places, all of Will's work on education. That all costs money. And we only pay for it with donations from people like you. So if you can help out, if you're not able to, that's okay. Even a couple bucks sometimes helps us make the case to larger groups of people or foundations that we got some support out there. So thank you for those of you who have, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.